Transit Administration, y estamos aquí para presentarles el proyecto que tenemos para esta comunidad, el Takoma Langley Park Transit Center, el centro de tránsito de Takoma Park. Primero vamos a tratar de resolver un poquito de logística con las personas que no hablan inglés suficientemente bien. ¿Podrían alzar la mano, por favor? Ok. Si me podrían hacer el favor estas personas de moverse acá junto con esta señora, que es nuestra intérprete que nos va a ayudar esta noche, les agradecería, por favor. Okay, so good evening. My name is Leslie Salgado. I work with the Maryland Transit Administration, and we are here this evening to present to you this project that is coming to this community, the Takoma Langley Park Transit Center. And what I was just doing now is, for logistical purposes, understanding that this is a very diverse community and that some folks in our community are not, are limited English proficient. We had arranged for an interpreter to be able to present this meeting, the information, because the object of this meeting is to inform the community about this project and to engage the community. We have that obligation as a transit agency in the services that we provide. So I'm going to be doing the MC for this event, and this lady is going to help us with the interpretation. From now on, I'm just going to do the English version. I'm going to try to stick with just that, all right? So this project has been in the development process for several years now with the collaboration of several key holders. They include Montgomery County, Prince George's County, WMATA, and of course the state of Maryland, and with significant funding from the Federal Transit Administration. We have been working also recently in collaboration with CASA de Maryland, because we know that CASA has a lot of connections with the community. And they have helped us set up this meeting. Thank you for the folks who are here representing CASA de Maryland. We appreciate your partnership and your help. The facility has been designed with considerable advice from WMATA, because that institution will be assuming the responsibility to manage the operations, maintenance, and security once this facility is completed. We have here with us several representatives from Montgomery County, Prince George's County, WMATA, Takoma Park, and also from our team from the MTA. I'm going to introduce now some of the folks who are going to help us with this presentation this evening. Jim Miller to my left was the design project manager working with us from my division. We have our design project manager consultant, Mark Lutz, to his left. And to his left, we have Chris Wilson. She is our Community Relations Deputy Director. So with that, we are going to start, according to the program, with a description of the project. What I would also like to tell you is that we are going to do this presentation. Please be patient with us while we do the presentation. We will open the mics for questions and answers. The mics are on each side of this audience displays. We would welcome your questions. We will try to answer your questions the best we can. If we don't have answers for you, we will let you know, but we will get back with you, because we work for a state agency. It's a very complex, large agency, and we may not have all the answers for you. So be patient with us. We hope to do this presentation just so that you have a timeline in about 30 minutes. And after that, we will remain here, because this room will be open until 8 o'clock for us, so that if you want to come individually to ask questions, we will also try to address your questions. So thank you for coming. Let's start with Jim Miller.
Good evening, Good evening, everybody. I'm going to set this down because I'm a pacer. Is this on? Okay, yes. This is the rendering that we've developed for the proposed Langley Transit Center, the Takoma Park Langley Transit Center. This is where the Bank of America exists today, to give you some idea of the geography. And we're occupying the space that's currently occupied by the Taco Bell. I think it's going to be a very nice addition to the community. And Mark is going to speak more on the specifics of the project in a couple minutes. But I wanted you to see that because it's easier now to understand what we're doing from this picture. You've probably noticed already that Pepco is moving power poles along University Boulevard. That part of the construction has begun, and utilities are going to be relocated as our contractor mobilizes and begins to get his submittals completed, and he'll roll in behind the utility relocations and start constructing this project in 3 major phases. The purpose in doing the phasing is to minimize the impacts to the community, the traffic, the transit services, and minimize any effects that it may have on the businesses. What we're doing is we're building this by adding a new signal near the Rite Aid today, opening up this signal, and only after that phase is completed, then we'll begin doing an improvement to this signal, and then finally the construction of the physical transit center itself. Tonight, if Matt could stand up, Matt Wolf is our resident engineer for the Maryland Transit. His area manager is next to him, Bill. Bill's the area manager. The two of them will be managing the actual contractor's activities during the construction. The construction to be completed by the end of 2015.
Okay, you don't have to disconnect yours. Come around. All right, thanks, Jim. Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the whole design team, and I was part of the planning team also, we're really happy to be here tonight, and happy that this project is coming to fruition and construction has started. It's been a good number of years in the making. Some of you have probably been to some of the previous public meetings dating back to 2005 for this project, where the project was separated from the Purple Line overall corridor study. And initially, at that time, it was part of a safety project that SHA engaged to improve pedestrian crossings. There's been a history of pedestrian accidents here, even a series of fatalities in the first decade of 2010 that caused a lot of concern and needed to be addressed. And this is actually the second phase to complete the overall safety improvement project to consolidate pedestrian crossings, make the transit more accessible, and to streamline and promote transit in this area. So what I want to talk about in giving this project description, I want to talk about this project in two basic categories. First, the function, the purpose of the project, and then second, get into some of the aesthetic and environmental and sustainability qualities that this project has. So first, talking about what is this project really going to do? What is the purpose of this project? Well, it's really a safety project primarily, of course, but it's also to streamline transit operations and to streamline the pedestrian flow around the buses and across these major highways that converge here at the crossroads. So just to orient you, this is a handout. This is part of your handout that you have. On the one side, the plan has Maryland 650 New Hampshire Avenue running north-south, and then running east-west is Maryland 193 University Boulevard. So the transit center is going to be occupying about 1 1/3 acres, roughly, of the southern corner of the Langley Park Shopping Center, where the Taco Bell is now. So the Taco Bell will be demolished, and the transit center will be built in that southern part of that shopping center, leaving most of the shopping center intact. Some of the parking spaces will be needed. The transit center will consolidate most of the ride-on buses into the transit center. Most of the ride-on buses, as you know, come and are terminate at this location, at this intersection. They will come into the transit center, and they will be able to pull up to platforms there and board and alight the passengers. What this does is it gets the buses off of the streets, and that's part of the safety and traffic efficiency of it. The buses will be able to pull in the transit center, and the dwell time, as we call it, the time that it takes for people to get on and off the buses won't clog up the traffic on the roads as much anymore. And it's a safer way to board the buses. It gives them, the passengers, a safe place, possibly with access to real-time information on when the buses will arrive, and will be a more pleasant experience, hopefully promoting the use of the transit, and will facilitate more safely the transfers between the bus routes, so that these buses pull into the transit center. There's approximately 11 bus routes that will be served by the transit center. Up to about 60 buses per hour during the morning and evening peak hours will be pulling into the transit center or pulling up on the curb alongside the transit center to discharge passengers and board passengers. So that's the basic function of it. The 11 routes served are a combination of WMATA and Montgomery Ride-On, Prince George is the bus, possibly University of Maryland shuttle. There are sidewalk improvements that go with it alongside University Boulevard and Maryland 650. There will be improved crosswalks, of course. We'll consolidate the crosswalks a little bit across University Boulevard. This will be the main crossing near the current intersection with the two shopping centers. That will be the main crossing of Maryland 193. There will be a crossing of Maryland 193 right next to Ann Avenue near the Rite Aid. And there will be a major crossing of Maryland 650 as it is today at the same locations. So those crossings will remain intact. The pedestrian fencing will stay and even be enhanced where it is to make sure that people make use of the crosswalks. That's of utmost importance, that the crosswalks the passengers will be funneled into the crosswalk locations, and a combination of landscaping and fencing will keep people, hopefully, from crossing mid-block. We are going to be reconstructing 4 traffic signals, or providing a new traffic signal at 4 locations. There will be a new traffic signal here at the current Rite Aid location. The major entrance to the Langley Park Shopping Center will be moved further west, away from its current location, to the Rite Aid intersection. That'll be the main access in terms of full movement into that shopping center, because the existing access off of University Boulevard will become bus only for buses turning into the transit center. Passenger vehicles and shopping center patrons will not be able to turn into this entrance here at University Boulevard, the one closest to the 650 intersection. The Maryland 650 intersection at the shopping center, what we call the Bank of America entrance, will be improved. It'll be widened by 1 lane to allow 1 more lane to exit onto Maryland 650, so that traffic won't queue up as much, won't back up as much from the signal that could potentially block buses that are moving through, because some buses will be moving through the transit center and exiting via a right turn onto southbound New Hampshire Avenue. And there will also be an improvement to the signal at Lebanon Street. As you probably know, the Lebanon Street intersection with New Hampshire Avenue is currently a pedestrian signal. It's a flashing yellow-red that that aids pedestrians who want to cross there. That'll become a full signal. And the reason that is will allow buses to come through this way that are destined for northbound 650. They'll be able to, this is primarily, I believe, the K6, number 16, anything northbound on Maryland 650 will make a left turn on the University Boulevard and pick up passengers here along the bus bays along University, continue up to Lebanon Street, turn right to a signal, and then turn left via traffic signal to continue northbound. So our aim, again, is to centralize this service, to really bring these buses together into one location rather than being scattered around this block, to consolidate the bus stops right here, either inside the transit center or just bordering the transit center, to improve pedestrian safety, make transfers easier, make it a more pleasant experience for everybody. It'll also give bus layover space. There will be two bus stops for layovers. There will no longer be layovers along Lebanon Street like there are now. The bus operators will have a more comfortable place to take breaks and to spend the minutes between their routes. So that's about it for the purpose and the basic function of the transit center. I want to move over to this display and talk a little bit about the aesthetics. Jim mentioned that briefly, that we're trying to make this as pleasant of a real focal point of the community. And it's been a tough site. It's a triangular shaped site that's hard to work with. It's a little smaller than we would like. We've tried to keep it as small as we can to keep the shopping center as whole as we can, and to keep that operating and keep as many parking spaces as we can. So what we've done with this site is to provide a canopy. It'll be a glass canopy with an opening in the middle. It'll have solar panels in it to provide some of the electrical power for the building. We think it probably enough to power it during the day inside the building. Not complete energy independence, but most of it. We have bioretention areas. These will be bioswales and a grass island in the middle of the transit center. That meets Maryland Department of the Environment requirements. Landscaping as much as we can fit in. There will be a rainwater harvesting system that captures the rainwater off the roof, and that'll be used to irrigate the planted areas. We are providing accommodation for the real-time information system. As you've probably seen a number of bus stops in the area and transit centers, the LED signs that give the number of minutes until the next bus arrives. We are providing, as part of this project, the accommodation for that. All the basic infrastructure will be provided, and then the operators will come in and actually put in the system. Because this technology constantly changes. We have duct system, concrete encased duct work that's going in throughout a network underneath the pavement that will be flexible to provide any type of system that comes on board in the next decade. We are trying to make this construction as environmentally sensitive as possible, be recycled demolition materials. The building itself, we will have a transit center building inside that's triangular shaped also. It doesn't show up too well in this rendering, but it is there. That'll house a waiting area, climate controlled waiting area, ticket sales, public restrooms, possibly an area for police to occupy, and some space that's flexible for whatever is needed by the operators. With that, I'll turn it back over to Leslie.
Thank you very much, Mark. So now let's follow with our community key person here, Chris Wilson.
Okay. Good evening again. I'm the Deputy Director of Community Relations of MTA, but I'm also the task manager on this project. Now, my responsibilities include, but are not limited to, the outreach portion of this project. Okay, a little closer. Can you hear me now? Very good. Okay, thank you. During our outreach, I need you to know that we did a over 10,000 piece mailer. We sent information to elected officials, residents, businesses, associations, organizations, stakeholders, and all parties throughout this Tri-City area. We especially have a thank you for Casa de Maryland. They assisted us in implementing our outreach. They worked extremely hard. I'm very grateful that we have a partnership with them. And with that partnership, we have hired Javier Luna Victoria. Javier, I need you to stand up so everyone can see you. He will be assisting me in our outreach effort to disseminate all of the data and to keep you all updated on this particular project. We want to keep you informed, and you will be getting information from time to time. Now, CASA, there's Robert Asprilio in the back. Robert, come up front so that they can see you, please. Robert is the lead organizer over at Casa de Maryland. And he's the guy that follows up with his team. He has a team of folk that work for CASA, and he follows up and he makes sure that when we give them a directive on, and of course they have input, you know, we are in a partnership together to do this outreach. He follows up to make sure that the job get done. And I want to thank you very much. You have been working very hard. Okay. In addition, is Renato here? He's working with us. Zarada, Mariah Smith, she's the, where's okay. Sorry, that's okay. Stand up anyway. I didn't get the chance. Okay, right. That's okay, but you're here, and we want you to stand up. We want to thank you for coming also. Remember, I stated earlier that they have a team of people that they have been sending all over this area to make sure that people are informed about what's going on with this project, and we're very, very appreciative of that. We want to thank the city of Takoma. The city manager stopped in earlier this evening about 4:45 and to welcome us. He could not stay. He had another event to attend. But Sarah Daines, she's the director of housing and community development. She has been very helpful to us. She posted the information on their webpage. She sent it out to Facebook. So we're getting the word out. And I also want to thank all of you who have come tonight. If you can't stay for questions and answers, I hope to see you at the next community meeting. We will continue to have these meetings and keep you updated. Keep in mind that you can reach us by phone number 410-767-3445. Our staff is here tonight to give you their business cards. You can also contact them. They will bring the questions and answers and responses rather back to us. We will get back in touch with you in a timely manner. You can also reach us by email by emailing us at Takoma Langley Crossroads at mta.maryland.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. And remember, Chris is going to be the face of MTA, really, because those of us who were involved with the design come to the background, and it will be Chris who will be responding to your questions, your concerns, hopefully not complaints, although I know that we will have them, and we will hopefully be prepared to answer and to address those complaints. As Mark was explaining, this is a very, very complex project in a location that is extremely difficult and very, very busy with a lot of folks using those bus stops. So our folks in construction are going to have their hands full. And we understand that, but we are hoping to do the best we can to have a good project that will not inconvenience but help the community, not only during construction, but particularly when it's done and finished. Thank you for your patience. We are now opening the mics for questions. We're not going to stay here for very long with these direct questions, but we are going to entertain maybe 10, 15 minutes of questions. If you raise your hand, and then if you go to the mic, because this presentation is being recorded. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Jorge Zactec. I am a small business owner. I own a bakery here in Langley Park. Also, I am the president of the Mola Unión, which is about like 40 businesses, and also a member of a committee of small business owners of the whole international corridor, who starts all the way on Flower Avenue and Pani Branch, all the way down to Adelphi. We are trying to put like all the business together so we can come to you or to any other entity and have a voice from the way we see things. So here with me are other business owners that are supporting our thoughts. So we are getting organized. We have many questions. We have concerns. But I would like to start saying that we are not opposed to the project. We are not opposed to the Purple Line project, nor to this project of Takoma Park. However, there are some concerns, and it's our obligation as a leaders to bring it out to you, and so you can hear pretty much what we hear from other fellows, merchant fellows, that they can be here tonight, or they won't be in meetings. But I think it will be us, the committee, who will be representing them for any point during this project. So I have a couple questions, and the first one is, what are the plans for the small business during the construction? The second one is, are there plans for parking? The third one, will there be bilingual signs to direct pedestrians to stores? And the other one is, will MPA help businesses who lose businesses because of the construction? I think the other two that I have, I think the gentleman there already said it. We wanted to know how long will the construction last and when will the construction start. So that's some of the question that we have at this point. And this is from the small businesses owners who we're representing right here tonight. Thank you.
Let me start with a summary of a response to your concerns and questions. Early enough, when we met, particularly with Casa de Maryland, they made us aware of the fact that there would be special concerns by the business, by the owners of businesses in this area.
Right.
So what we are planning to do with the help of Chris and also Casa de Maryland, and you, if you would like to help us,
Sure.
is set up a special meeting, a separate meeting where we can address your concerns and more carefully come up with answers to your concerns. Because I see here, for example, that you already have a question that I know I cannot respond, and I don't think that we are prepared to respond. Sure. Will MTA help businesses who lose their businesses? I don't have an answer for that. I would have to get back with you on that. Okay? We hope that our project will not be pushing anybody out of business. That is not what that project is about. That's what I can tell you.
Of
but
course, yeah,
what if something like that happens? How is that resolved? I would have to get back with you.
Sure, yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's start with the first question. It was the plans for the small business. So we talked about that. I know that during the planning and during the engineering, we were concerned about that. So do you want to address that,
Specifically, Jim? The plans for the small businesses, I'm not clear on the question.
Well, during any construction, like there is always some kind of incommodity that it creates. We have, like, for instance, in this area, it's called international corridor because there are people who come not only from the local people, but people who come from out of town. And they usually come to buy stuff that they can only get here, not everywhere else. So that you don't see like on a regular basis, but on the weekends you see there are more affluence of cars. So we create a lot of economic activity in the area. So the businesses that are how is your plan for all the businesses, not only for the businesses right there, because it affects the whole area.
We tried to be very sensitive about the businesses, the pedestrians, the types of activities in this area. We've done multilingual surveys in these areas on weekends, weekdays, Sundays, Saturdays. This is a very hopping area on the weekends. I was very surprised and impressed. A lot of effort's gone into making this a successful community. And we've had considerable number of meetings with the owners in this business shopping center, and met with some of what he called his anchor businesses in the area. I'm an engineer, so I'm not exactly sure what defines an anchor business, but he made it very clear to me what was important to the survival of this community related to business. And there's a lot of pedestrian traffic in these businesses. Right. This is all about safety. When we talked a few minutes ago about 12,000 transit users on this corner, that doesn't count all the rest of the people going to the businesses. We were very impressed. What we did to seek a minimally impactful construction process is we sequenced this thing with a great deal of detail. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but what we wanted to do is, because we can't, construction activity breaks curbs, it cuts curbs, it moves sidewalks, it does things like that. The primary access to businesses are these two major signals. We saw a signal up here that wasn't very effective, and we're going to make that effective. What we wanted to do is the people whose destination isn't these businesses, to give them a way to get out without adding to the traffic during our construction activities. So first and foremost, we want this signal to give people whose destination is other than this area a place to get out without having to be forced through the area during construction. That should alleviate traffic in these couple of blocks if where they want to go is north. The second thing we did is we said that this is not a full control intersection right now, so we're going to never touch these guys, which are the primary access to your business. We're not going to touch those guys until we've added a new and better. This is not just a lane in and a lane out. This is a 3-lane access point, and we've met with the owners of this shopping center and the owners of this shopping center, and they've blessed this design. Only after that thing is fully operating and full control and fully safe for the pedestrians in this region, and only then will we start to mess with the improvements of this intersection, still leaving 2 full access points to both shopping centers at all times. Late in the phase of this shopping center, we've observed a lot of pedestrian traffic walking through the parking lot right now and conflicting with cars trying to cut across here, trying to get in, trying to get out. It's not safe for your customers. What we've done is we've said, before we start messing over here, as part of this signal operation, we're going to create a safe pedestrian route where people tend to walk today anyway. When customers are safer, they're going to shop. Okay? So they feel safe coming across here. We're building, this seems to be a major run today. So what we're doing is, once this is finished, then and only then will we start messing with the Taco Bell. So now you've got better access to these shops, a safer pedestrian run, and during construction, when we may have needs to affect these sidewalks, we've created an alternate route for people to safely travel so that we can secure our site and keep construction activity separate from people and cars. Mm-hmm. So we feel that we've done everything we can, and we certainly welcome any suggestions on places where we could have done better.
Sure, we'll keep meeting with the small business owners. There is one separation that we want to make on owners of shopping centers, like landlords, and there is a different entity that is small business owners. There are two different entities.
Yes.
There's two different mindsets.
And we're happy to listen.
So that's.
I've
one
learned
point
a
that
lot about business working on this project because this owner has helped us a lot with understanding what it's going to take to keep his businesses successful. I'm an engineer. I've learned a
Right,
lot
yeah.
on this job.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We're just here, it's our duty to be here. Just like you're like explaining to us, it's our duty to just explain or bring the message from what we hear from other fellow merchants that whether or not it's a little bit of worry, we are being struggling with sales. No, the economy hasn't been that well. And now it's going to be a construction, and there's some people that are barely surviving. We have like cases where a business owner had to go outside and work by the hour in order to come out for the rent money at the end of the month. And it's a dream for many of us. So we would like to just, it's normal that people are going to be a little concerned about anything.
And we expected that. That's part of the purpose
Exactly,
of this
yes.
meeting. We've reached out to the businesses on both of these shopping centers that we're physically living on. We hope that we've done a good job. If we can do better, we're certainly
No,
ears are open.
looks. I mean, it's like
Made a lot of effort to think it
exactly.
through.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's try to give some other folks also the opportunity. But you also had questions on parking. We'll be happy to address them when we arrange this special meeting.
Yeah.
As far as bilingual services and information, we during the construction are going to be having. MTA has already made a decision that we are going to have two folks working alongside with Chris Wilson in order to help the MTA address concerns that the community has.
Right.
So we have thought about that, and it's in the works. We have one person on board already. We are bringing another person on board shortly, I hope. And so we are very, very aware of that need.
Great. Yeah.
And I thank you for your
I
questions.
appreciate for your time. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yes. Can we have the person in the back? Yes, sir.
Step to the mic.
Good evening, panel. My name is Joe Ryerson. I reside at 8611 Laverne Drive, Delphi, Maryland, 20783. I have a question for the panel. I have 3 questions. And a comment afterwards. Are they going to have a groundbreaking for this site? And then, so when the construction completed, will they have the grand opening and have facilities like balloons and pennants and like a metro?
Party.
And the third one is about the Taco Bell. Where are they going to relocate that Taco Bell? Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. I see that you like parties.
He like a
I'm there.
All right. Let me tell you again, we are in the engineering department and we are not the party organizers, unfortunately. So, but I am sure that MTA and MDOT, folks in MTA will be interested in doing some sort of groundbreaking ceremony and certainly an opening. So we will inform the community ahead of time as soon as we hear from that. It's not the engineers normally. I'm a partier, but most engineers are not. So we will keep you informed. And again, we'll be doing all of this information bilingual so that everyone is able to get that information. As to the Taco Bell relocation, I'm going to ask Jim to help me with that.
Yes, the groundbreaking and opening, I'm looking forward to that myself. Mark, and especially Mark, he's got a lot of history on this job. The Taco Bell agreement that we made with them is that they will be allowed to continue to be in business as long as it makes sense for them. And we spoke probably a little bit more detail than you care to hear about the sequencing, but the reason that was important to me to convey is that it kind of lets you, give you a heads up of where we're going and how we're doing this. We phased the Taco Bell intentionally on last so that we wouldn't affect these people's jobs until there was no alternative. Now, the Taco Bell, as I said a minute ago, is allowed to stay until they see that it doesn't make sense business-wise to continue to operate. And doing so, you'll see that the late in phase 2, when we start building what we refer to as the eyebrow island, what I referred to a minute ago as the natural path across the parking lot, that is going to start putting our construction probably in the way of accessing their business. And at that point in time, they will probably elect to move. They were made aware of this project a couple of years ago, and I don't know where they as a business are at this point, but the state of Maryland has a program where they help relocate businesses and help them find another place to be. They were officially given notice that this project is actually a this past February, and we have been in contact with them, and we will be providing them a construction schedule along with they have seen these plans and they understand our sequencing.
Okay, next. Let's go here to the left, the lady.
Voy a hacer la pregunta en español porque mi inglés es un poco
I'm going to ask
malo.
a question in Spanish because my English is a little bad.
Mi pregunta es,
My question is,
¿por qué el gobernador O'Malley
why does Governor Molly,
le aumentó 20 centavos al galón de gasolina
why did he raise the gas to 20 cents more?
debido a la construcción de la línea morada?
Because of the construction for the Purple Line.
Eso significa que
This
la
means, or due to the construction of the Purple Line, and this means that
parte de la construcción de la línea morada
part of the construction of the Purple Line
será a costa de los bolsillos de la comunidad.
will be at the cost of the pocket, from the pockets of the community members.
Esa es mi pregunta.
That's my question.
If you don't mind, I'm going to respond to this lady in Spanish first, and then you can help me with the translation. Entonces, le voy a responder su pregunta.
I'm going to respond to your question.
Su pregunta tiene que ver con la línea morada o conocida como Purple Line.
Your question has to do with what
Y
the
debería
Purple
yo
Line-
haber hecho una aclaración desde el comienzo de este programa
I'd like to make a clarification
que
from the beginning of the
nuestro
program
departamento no maneja ese proyecto.
that this department is not in charge of this
Esta
project.
presentación es exclusivamente sobre Takoma Langley Park.
This presentation is exclusively
Entonces,
in reference to
desgraciadamente,
Takoma Langley Park.
O sea, usted tiene todo el derecho
Of
de
course
hacer
you
esa
have
pregunta
All the right to ask that question
al gobernador O'Malley,
to Governor
pero
O'Malley.
desgraciadamente yo no le puedo, nosotros aquí no le podemos responder.
But unfortunately, I can't or we can't respond to that question.
Pero le agradezco.
But I do appreciate it.
Okay, vamos acá. La señora.
The young lady there.
Good evening. My name is Maria Bueno. I own a little store in the other side of Bank of America. And I wanted to know that if you guys, because I understand that you said that you talk to the business people, I guess you talk to the landlords only,
The owner.
or the owner of the building, or the space, but not to the small people. And I'm here to ask you, because, you know, one hand doesn't want to get involved. This is the blue, the purple, and this is the metro. So all the questions that we come and ask, we don't know. You go to the other section, that section doesn't know. And I know all you guys talk and get involved on all the projects that you have in Langley Park. My question is, do you ever talk about the small business with the owner of the spaces? Because my lease didn't want to give me extra lease after 2015. So that means that if I don't come up with maybe $100 the square feet in after 2015, I'm going to be out of business. And I don't know how many people from my shopping center is here. And I belong to Casa de Maryland, and I thank Casa de Maryland because I would be on the shy. I would be, without any notifications or any notice about what's going on in the shopping center. And I belong with the association with the business people. But as a small business owner, I wanted to know if you, Metro, did ever talking about the small businesses that we are there, and we are about maybe 50.
Thank you very much for your questions. We are learning a lot, okay? All I can tell you is that, again, we were doing engineering, and yes, we made an effort to also meet with the owners of the businesses in this area. And Casa de Maryland did make us aware of the fact that we have to also work with the small businesses that you are representing here. Let me see if anybody in the panel would like to give you a better answer than this, okay?
Well, we began meeting publicly on this project in 2005. I think that through all the mechanisms we have for generating a mailing list, all of the individual addresses throughout the zip code, or through some 10,000 or more addresses were identified through a comprehensive program of saturating the area with mailings and postings, website postings, newspaper ads. These meetings were made publicly available for everyone to attend. And apologies for anyone who wasn't aware of those meetings, but that is our conduit as an agency for outreach to the people. From those encounters at those public meetings, then usually we do follow up as needed on a requested basis with anyone who wants to meet with us. So we had, I'd say, 3 or 4 public meetings between 2005 and 2009 when the project was really developing and concepts were being drawn up and the traffic impact was being assessed. At that time, we didn't have too many small businesses come forth to raise their concerns at that time. And now we're trying to address whatever concerns as Jim mentioned, the access has been improved to these facilities. We feel like the transit center will be a focal point of this community. I think it'll draw the persons are on foot. They're transferring between buses, and we have done studies which show that there will actually be a synergy to the community that hopefully be an attraction to bring people to the area. This is going to be quite a place, and hopefully the businesses will realize that.
What I'd like to add is that during our development of this project goes, I'll briefly say, it goes through phasing. Mark is involved in both phases. During the planning phase, they bring it to a concept, and then once the project is brought to a concept level, it transfers to engineering, where we did make it into a final, finish the permits, finish the details, finish the geometry, and so forth. That said, my involvement came in once it became to engineering, and obviously we kept the same expert on board so that we wouldn't lose the continuity. When the project did come to engineering, specifically your location, where did you move? I'm sorry. There, I'm sorry. I wanted to look at you and I couldn't find you. Specifically, your location was identified as an area where parking would be an issue, because at one point when this came to engineering, the 15 or 16 parking spaces adjacent to the Bank of America, that was the location of the proposed signal. When we learned that that would be valuable to the businesses in that group, we slid the signal over towards our transit center, making it more fun for Mark to work the geometry on how to get the buses through a smaller configuration. When he mentioned earlier that we reduced the size of the transit center, it was to save those spaces that were adjacent to the Bank of America near that entrance on New Hampshire Boulevard. We had numerous meetings with the owner. The owner's consultants sent us book-sized documents about the businesses. We're as sensitive as we can, but the best we can do is design for the best possible geometry for the shopping center to succeed. The collaboration between individual businesses and the owners and their landlords and their lease agreements, that's something that the state really doesn't have any jurisdiction in. And so I would apologize. Yeah, there's a limit to our authority.
Just to add what the concern is that, of course, you have nothing to do with the state, but you are creating the conditions. See, by doing this, like she said, we already had like a friend who has like 4 restaurants, have like other small stores, that she was about to release the lease, expire the lease, it was to renew the lease, and the landlord asked her like double it. And the explanation that he gave is because the construction of the purple line and the station is going to be just about to start. So
we would have to sit down with you separately to look at the specific problem that you're talking about and see if what we are doing is really creating that. Okay? I'm sorry, I cannot tell you anymore. Let's go to the next lady.
My name is Mamie Brewster, and I am also a small business owner in the area, 1401 University Boulevard. Our business has been alive, I will say, due to the amount of humble people who come to buy daily goodies there. And if would not for that, would not be survived. My question to you is, have you considered giving the future jobs of this big project to our people, to local residents? I'm saying that because we deal with a lot of subcontractors, licensed, insured, that can be benefit and doing that yourselves, we can also increase or be a little bit more stable than we are right now with our businesses there.
That's a very, very valid question, and I will answer in the most honest way I can. Basically, when the MTA, as a state agency, puts out this contract through a fair bidding process, there's a contractor who is the low bidder, and if they are a responsive contractor, the project goes to that contractor. The contractor is then responsible for managing the construction of the project. And the state cannot tell the contractor other than they have to follow state laws, regulations for the construction of the facility. And unfortunately, we cannot mandate them to hire folks from the community. My feeling would be that with the type of project that we have at hand, being right there in the center, that the contractor would be benefiting from doing that. But unfortunately, we cannot mandate that. Yes, next question.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
My name is Consuelo Gomez, and I live on New Hampshire Avenue, Montgomery County. I ran a cleaning business for 15 years. And first of all, I want to say thank you very much to Jorge, because last Tuesday we have a meeting at the Casa de Maryland, and we asked him to represent to the business, small business around the area, which is starting to get organizing about around this Línea Morada, purple line. They understand, right? Okay. First of all, purple metro line is something that we like. I mean, it's going to be easy for our people to go to their jobs. And it's nice because it brings more people around this area. I see that it's good for the community. But in the other hand, I'm worried. I am worried about because we know this in Washington for what happened in Washington, bringing to the metro, and I'm really, this gentrification is going to come. It comes together, and I don't like that because we want nuestro barrio look the way it is. Probably new buildings, that's fine. But I'm worried about because these huge builders, they're gonna come with their money and just bring in new buildings, huge buildings, expensive apartments that our community will not be able to afford. That's my really concern and my family concern. On the other hand, jobs. I see in the newspaper that Mr. O'Malley says that, oh no, I don't know, I mean, probably somebody else, but I have here that it's going to be like 50,000, something like that, jobs. And I wonder how many of these jobs is going to come for our community. Make sure, please, that they really our men and women have their opportunity to work with this project. We want to keep this barrio that our people, they're going to make enough money to pay their rent, because I'm telling you, this metro is going to have all these apartments already. I heard some complaint, if you remember, La Chiquita Express. One of their buildings that she had like eight stores already, and one of the homeowners, they already raised the price. And so that's what's going to happen to these apartments. Metro brings expensive life in our areas. That's we worry about with the community. And also we're talking about that you mentioned just Taco Bell. Why you mention Taco Bell only? We're talking about like 50 more businesses that is going to disappear. Do you know about this? Where they going to be displayed? Are they going to be in another? Are you going to help them to be in another area around? Or because you just talking to the homeowners? But what about these people? See, this gentleman has an Indian store around. Maria Bueno Zodiac she's got right there in your project. They have a businesses. What's going to happen to them? I buy my tortillas and masa, pan. I want the stores to be the way it is right now. And that's my concern. Thank you very much for to talk to us.
I appreciate and feel for you, understand again that we're not here to respond, unfortunately, for the Purple Line. And in our project, in the one that we are presenting tonight, we believe that other than Taco Bell, we're not displacing other businesses. Okay? That's for this project. And unfortunately, we are not prepared to respond again for the Purple Line. And we understand your concerns. I have made notes. I think everybody else here has made notes. We will bring your concerns to our upper management, our MTA, and hopefully we'll go to MDOT, and your voice will be heard. Thank you. Yes, sir.
First, let me offer a suggestion, talking about especially some of the business people. And then there were some gaps in terms of people being informed, because I've been kind of watching this project all the way back when you started in 2005. Sometimes I heard about what was coming up with these meetings, sometimes not. What my suggestion, and maybe this is your area, Chris, is to have a newsletter that people could subscribe to, so that as things are being updated, they can just go there or have it on the website. And that also would help some of these businesses, because as they get those notifications, when your customers come in, tell them, here's what's happening with this project, so they know they'll keep coming, but they just don't get confused because you're keeping them informed. That's just a suggestion. I did have two questions. One question was, in terms of the design, Was there any consideration or conversation about using a footbridge over New Hampshire and University as opposed to going across? Because I've been in this area for 25 years, and there's just been way too much foot traffic to the point where I hope this works, but it seems to me in other areas of the county where I've seen they use a footbridge, like Wheaton, that's been very effective. I don't know if you want to address that, or Mark.
Mark, can you answer that? I'm going to ask Mark, because Mark was involved with this project from the planning stage.
To be honest, we didn't address, we didn't raise to any detail a pedestrian bridge on either New Hampshire or University in this project. I think I've been working on projects on major state highways for close to 30 years, and these pedestrian conflicts are a constant issue. And what we found in other studies endlessly is that pedestrians do not use the bridges. They unless there's a grade separation, it's already there, some type of what we call bifurcation, where there's a platform that's elevated, or some natural way of a destination for the pedestrians to go up to. They usually do not go up, go across, and come down. That's one of the reasons why we didn't look at it here. We feel like with the state highway improvements that were made back in 2008 and this project, that we could consolidate the crossings at grade and be safe with the crossings.
Yeah.
The subject of footbridge and crossings came up again since it's been in engineering, and the problem with features like that is multi. It chews up sidewalk space in order to build a stairwell. It chews up a lot of real estate that becomes a visual barrier to your businesses from the street. It also becomes it occupies valuable space to pedestrians that they need to walk past that bridge if they don't want to cross. And thirdly, it dictates the need for ADA accessibility, and landing heights are dictated by code by how many steps a person should be expected to rise before having a place to stop and pause. So these things get bigger and bigger and bigger, and for lots of reasons it doesn't fit here. And it would have required taking more parking from the adjacent shopping centers. And again, this is a safety. The best idea is to get our users into a place separated from traffic, and so that they could exchange their runs, and do so in a way that it didn't become a visual barrier to the signs on these people's businesses that they need for drive-by traffic, and save more parking that would have been, because we would have had to route the sidewalks around the stairwells.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to take one more question, and then we will stay here to entertain, as I said before, questions from all of you. Okay, sir?
Hi, my name is Samir Talati, and I have an Indian grocery store next to the Rite Aid pharmacy. And I'm doing my business since 1992, which is last 21 years. Since last 1.5 years, landlord did not renew my lease. I'm on month-to-month lease, and he was saying that when this construction will start, the price is going to go up after it finishes. And I don't know what impact is going to be of this construction on my store, on the business, and on my customers, that they are coming from out of state and out of town. And I don't know where to move after 21 years and what to do. Can you please, I'm sorry I was a little late, but I don't know when the construction is starting, and after that what will happen to my business.
The Rite Aid will be, to answer your earlier question about timeline, we're expecting to begin construction in the coming couple months. The construction activities that you see out there today for the power, That's the first stage, and our contractor is expecting to mobilize in the next couple of months. We do not have a detailed schedule yet, but we do plan to make information available to the owners as we go from the one phase to the second phase to the third. The phase of construction, were you here when we talked about the first phase where we add that signal next to the Rite Aid?
No, I was not there.
Let
at
me
that time,
point
yes.
to that again. This is for your benefit. I'll be brief. We phased this project in 3 phases to ensure that we never took away a valuable access to the shopping center.
Okay.
So we're not going to touch anything out there, and business out here is going to remain exactly as it is today until this is finished construction. This will be a full control, right in, right out, and left turn movement signal added to the construction, so that at that point you'll have 3 full control accesses to the businesses.
Now, how long that construction is going to be
That
nearby the
we
right
expect that this is going to be a couple of months' worth of activity. Does that make sense, Bill? I think we estimated. We don't have a detailed schedule yet. This is going to be a couple months of activity, at least in our minds right now. Once that's finished, we're done doing work in front of your business. You said your business is right here?
Right there. I'm just next to the Rite Aid pharmacy, next to that.
Once this is finished, we're going to be done working in front of your property. You'll have full access. Your customers will have access during all phases of construction, but our construction activity in front of your store will be finished in a couple of months.
In that couple of months, there will be a lot of impact on my business at that time. So what we have to do?
We have the sidewalks will be open at all times. Our limit of work follows this dotted line. We're not going to go outside that limit of work.
Now, if we lose,
We don't have a detailed construction schedule just yet. Actually, the signal materials are in the process of being approved by the State Highway as we speak. We submitted plans to them, and they're approving the materials, and our contractors are pulling together their resources.
well, we wish that there won't be any impact on the business, but if in case there is an impact on our business, if we lose the business, what we have to do?
The lease agreement that you described is between you and the owners. We can't really speak for the lease agreement.
We and the landlord?
You and the landlords.
Yeah, landlord hardly
can't
comes on the
speak to
phone
him.
anyway.
Well, we need to meet, though.
You have to meet with your landlords.
We need to meet because really, we are creating a scenario here.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
Could you go to the mic, please?
Yeah, we need to meet.
Yes.
Because we are creating a scenario here. There are 2 problems here. One is during construction, and the other one is the effects, of this modernization will bring. And what the first threat is the displacement of the residents and then the businesses. And that's exactly what's happened to him.
We hear
The
you.
landlord doesn't want to renew his lease because he want to charge more. And that's the case. Now, of course, you are not doing this pretending that everything is, or telling the owner of the land or the landlord or the management company do that, because you're not doing it. But you're creating the scenario. And that's what we are facing right now. And we've been here like for so many years when nobody wants to put food in here. We are here during this recession. Why don't the big corporations come now? Where are they? Well, they want all this like beautiful and with a nice transit system so they can come and just sit here and just send us out of here. That's the problem.
Okay.
It's the repercussion, it's the effect it's going to have. So there's two problems here. During construction, the people will hesitate to come. Usually people, if see construction, they will go somewhere else.
No, yes.
If that's the case. And then the effect afterwards,
We hear you. We understand the concerns you have. We are going to bring them back to our administration. We are going to set up a special meeting, not only to talk about with the property owners, but the businesses that are renting because your concerns are very valid. And at that point, we will be able to engage in conversation and see how we can work together to make this a project that does not destroy businesses, because that is not the intent of this project. It's a safety improvement because there's a serious concern with safety problems that there are in this location. And it's certainly, the intent is not to destroy any businesses. So we will bring that back, and it sounds like we need to come back when we meet with you, with some of the folks from the Línea Morada or Purple Line, because you obviously have concerns and questions about that we are not prepared to respond. We will bring that up to our management as well, and we will keep you informed. Bilingual information, not only to the business addresses, but also to the small businesses and to the community, because that's what we are required to do. So with that, I appreciate you coming here. We are going to stay here until 8 o'clock. Any questions you have, we'll be happy to try to address them, take notes. Muchísimas gracias por venir. Les agradecemos la información que nos ayudan, que nos han dado esta noche. Muchas gracias.